audience, makeshift stand, many people who have never gone through life struggling with obesity don't understand that obesity is more than an issue of eating large quantities of food and lack of exercise. For those who struggle with it, food is deeply rooted into their emotional and psychological makeup. It's an addiction. I knew a girl once. She was 17 years old and weighed 226 pounds. Her weight affected her mood, making her depressed and therefore more reliant on food. She ate to deal with emotions she could not express, and eating was the only comfort she knew. Many people can relate to this girl, me especially. I was this girl. Since then, I've been going through a journey that has been more than weight loss. It has been a journey to free myself from this drug I've been addicted to, food. Food is a drug because it affects a person's lifestyle, health, and mental state. In the short time I have with you, I will explain how food is a drug by showing the evidence that food is a drug, by relating why food is some people's drug of choice, and by showing the addictive effects it has on those people's lives. Food has been compared by many medical societies and experienced weight loss trainers as a drug with similar addictive effects to that of ecstasy. In an article journalist Marshall Allen wrote for Boundless Webzine, he stated on his findings that the cost of America's obesity epidemic extends far beyond that of emotional pain and low self-esteem. Obesity is now second only to smoking as a cause of mortality in the United States. The CDC, Center for Disease Control, estimates that 280,000 Americans die every year as a direct result of being overweight. Finding much information on the addictive effects of food, let alone specific foods and brands, is difficult because of governmental funding by the food giants. Kevin Trudeau, in his book The Weight Loss Cure They Don't Want You to Know About, goes into much further detail on this and explains how chemical addictants have been purposely placed into food to keep consumption climbing. An example of this is how the Coca-Cola Company got its start and name by placing small amounts of cocaine in their beverage. And like all other food companies, their goal is to significantly increase consumption of their product every year. Getting a little insight into food being a drug, it may now be easier for you to see how 27% of adults in the United States are considered obese, according to the CDC's 2009 data on the obesity rate in America. Food has become many people's drug of choice. But why? Food is a requirement for our bodies to function daily and easy to access. Food is everywhere, easily accessible to everyone. A given person may pass 7 or more fast food options on their way home from work or school. Food is instantly gratifying. For some, they turn to food when they were young to cope with the void left by a single parent, unable to spend much time with him or her. Others, like myself, turn to food to deal with emotions they could not express. Still others have found sanctuary in food to cover up some wrong that was done to them, which left them scarred and broken. Easier than facing these problems head-on, food's instant gratification was able to take away the pain for that moment. This is very similar to what happens in a drug addiction. So then, let me explain how this addiction affects the lives of so many people. Like the cycle of drug use, food addiction leaves the users empty and depressed after the high received by the use wears off. Similar to drug addicts, they then return to food and may find it necessary to consume higher quantities to get the same feeling food previously gave them. Like a drug addiction, those addicted to food become dependent on it for their happiness and will go to extreme means if necessary in order to get their high, including going behind people's backs in order to consume and finding ways to pay for it, no matter how much money they have access to. Their lives and thoughts become centered on food. Food is inescapable. We need food to survive, and food is everywhere. So those trying to defeat their addiction to food have to eat food every day and yet still conquer it. They can't simply remove themselves from the situations in which they were previously tempted. To live in a healthy balance with food, a food addict has to conquer the reasons behind their addiction in order to succeed, not simply lose weight. This all shows that obesity is so much more than a problem of some people have dealing with food. It's an addiction, affecting the very way people live their lives. Food is the unforeseen drug. This is evidenced in the statistics, people's reasoning for turning to food, and the very way it affects those people's lives. So you see, there's so much more behind why people are overweight and obese than one may think.